Okay, so hello everyone. My name's Glenys Chatterley. I'd like to welcome you to what I'm calling at the moment business chat. It could change and it may not all be about business, but it's going to be a fortnightly session with somebody, so it's not just me, to talk things business. I have a business called EBN, Effective Business Network, and if you want more details of that, get in touch. And I've also got as my first guest, Mike Hennan. Now, Mike's going to introduce himself at the moment, but just to prove that there is another human being who can speak, Mike, could you just say hello, please?
Hey, everyone.
There you go. And also it checks that all the mics are working.
Correct.
So what I'd like you to do, Mike, is sort of interview you a bit. So, and you can throw in any bits that you think might be useful or relevant or not relevant, but funny. So first of all, tell us a bit about your business.
Perfect. Well, thanks for the introduction, Glenys. Really excited to be the first guest. This can only go upwards from here. Yeah. So my name's Mike. I'm from a company called Clear Brands Grow. I've been going about a year. Actually, celebrated my first year like full business earlier this month. So exciting. I've survived my first year, and not only that, it's been with a pandemic, so that's brilliant. And the best way to describe myself is a marketing and website consultancy. And more recently, I'm sort of starting to specialize in dentists and dental practices, but that doesn't mean I can't help other businesses, attract more customers, increase the sort of lifetime value of customers, and basically just help them grow through digital means.
Okay, so one of the things that I'm always interested in is why do people do what they do? Mm-hmm. So what is it about what you do, the area of business you're in, that was the thing that hooked you in to start the business?
So my background is actually engineering. So I can't remember if I've told you that, Glenys, but yeah, my background is engineering. Thought that was the way I wanted to go, but I don't know about you, but we make kids make decisions about their future when they're 16, 17, 18, and they have no idea what they want to do. I was no different. I thought engineering was the way forward. After a couple of years in engineering, I was like, this isn't for me. And although I didn't know at the time, I'd always had like a bit of interest in marketing. Now, I didn't go straight into marketing after that. I did spend a couple of years at my dad's company doing air compressors and water pumps. So it was a bit more classic small business, family small business. So we're doing a bit of everything. So I was doing the accounts, doing like receptionist kind of thing, sales, all that sort of thing. So I think that's where I learned, I wanted to do my own thing. But it was only after that I went into a marketing agency. And although I didn't like that area of marketing, so I was doing SEO and PPC, I did enjoy marketing. And it was also at the time I was working at the agency in London, where I was building websites on the side, trying to build my own business. And I just really enjoy making websites for businesses. And the kind of big clicking point or big turning point for me was I spent like a whole year in marketing where you were trying to get more traffic to a website. And, the more traffic you get, obviously, the more likely is that they'll convert it to a customer. But the problem I saw was most of these websites were terrible or really bad. And actually it felt like what I was doing was a waste of time.
Right.
Because, you could get people to the front door, but if the house is a pile of shit, there's no point. And that's kind of like, and I see that, okay, it was kind of less so because these were big clients that like they did have budgets to kind of spend on like looking at the way that they converted customers. But when you look at small business websites and they're all worried about getting traffic and actually they don't actually look at the website, and you just think they're just wasting time, effort and money because their website isn't going to work.
And
so I was like,
sorry, go on, carry on.
And I was just like, that's kind of like why I do what I do, and I really enjoy it. And if I can help the little guy.
Yeah. And don't you think that that's one of the things that is difficult about having your own business? We don't know everything we need to know. And it can be quite overwhelming, while you're as well as marketing and doing this and doing this and doing this, you know, your personnel, your, or whatever they call it, HR these days, you know, making sure the store cupboard's full, you're also trying to get work. You're also trying to do, and when we talk about marketing, there's so much that is marketing. You know, for me, a large part is face-to-face networking. And at the moment, of course, we're in the middle of all this malarkey. So it's not face-to-face, but it's that thing about being overwhelmed. So what would you say to somebody who was looking at starting their own business? First of all, what advice would you give somebody, say the top 3 tips on getting the website right? And if it's more than 3, that's fine as well.
Yeah, no, that's a good point there. There's so much to do, isn't there, when you start a business?
Yeah.
And I totally agree with you. Marketing is also equally overwhelming, because like there's so many different channels to do it. But the way I see it is, your website, and you obviously said ask for tips on the website, but your website is so important because that's something that you control. Kind of like your email marketing list as well. Like you actually own that. Like you as a business own that asset. You know, when you look at people doing social media and stuff, yeah, it's great, and it all, you know, helps you grow your business and hopefully generate some buzz. But you know, you're at the mercy of the big social media platforms.
Yeah.
So if they change their algorithm, or they decide that they want you to pay for the reaching a number of people, then you really become like, you know, just a number to them. So they don't really care. Whereas your website is you know, is yours to control, yours to make work. And also, generally people always come back to your website. So regardless of whether you network, regardless of whether you send out emails or social media, they generally go back to your website.
So can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is it better to have no website than a bad website, or is it better to have something as a website rather than nothing?
Good question. Obviously, a bad website isn't great, but I don't know about you, but if I search for a business and there's no website at all, I instantly don't trust them.
Yes. It's like, I think this is probably because I'm old school, but somebody who doesn't have a landline, I've had to adjust to the fact that a lot of people don't use landlines now.
Yeah.
But up to a certain a number of years, you know, say the last 5 years, I've had to train myself. And it always used to amaze me if I'd see vans going past that were beautifully logoed and liveried, and they'd have a mobile number. And I'd think, do they have different liveries for whether they're doing this or I think you're right, and it's all about perception, isn't it?
Yes. So I think obviously if you've got a website, it shows that it shows that you're kind of you're in it, aren't you? Like you're committed to your business, even if it is a bad website. You know, you've at least you know staked that claim on your domain name and that kind of thing. And going back to your mobile phone comment, it really pisses me off when I see a business using like a free email address, like Gmail or Yahoo, and I'm like, especially if they've got a website, so they've got a domain name, and yet they're using
they're selling somebody else's business. And I always say to people, if you want to sell another business as well as your own, I'll work out that you can have my domain name and we'll find a way of sending it to you. But if you want to advertise another business, feel free to let it be mine.
And I just think it looks so unprofessional. And, you know, I literally spend, I think to get my custom email address is like, I pay Google like £4.50 a month. Like it's not a lot of money. But it just makes that difference. And it's the trust factor. So, you know, that would be one of my advices is when you do start out, before you even get to the website, make sure you've got a custom email address. Because it'll just make you look so much more professional. There's obviously a bit more debate on the phone number, because like you say, people are a bit more accepting of a mobile number. But you can easily get like a virtual number as well. So it's not like you haven't got to spend fortunes on getting a few things to make yourself look more professional. But if we go back to the website, a few key tips would be obviously use a domain name that is kind of obvious and representative of your business. So don't use something random. Also, talk more about the customer's problems. So a lot of businesses will talk about, you know, I did this, we did that. My granddad started the business 60 years ago. But customers don't care. Like they land on your website because they've typically got a problem and they are just hoping that you can solve it. So you need to talk about the problem and make sure that it's obvious that you can solve it. Otherwise, there's a good chance they'll just leave. And I guess probably one of the biggest mistakes most websites make when it comes to like business websites is not having a clear call to action. So, you know, a lot of businesses make the assumption that, you know, someone lands on their website, if they've done a good enough job sort of conveying what they do and, you know, how they help them, that they're going to contact them, which you shouldn't make that assumption. You know, assumptions are deadly in business, or just in life, aren't they? You can't make assumptions about anything.
No. And also it's that thing about, you know, people are busy, and if you don't make it easy, they'll go somewhere to somebody who does. You know, I was having a conversation by trying to get onto their online selling bit, and a very big company, and I got fed up. And to be honest, I left it for ages just thinking, well, somebody will kick it and I'll come back and it'll be all right. And when it didn't, I went somewhere else. Tell them about, from previous conversations, tell them about, and I'm going to get the phrasing wrong, the caveman thing.
Yes, I was just thinking that would actually be more beneficial than some of the things I just reeled off. So we just talked about the fact that your website's important, and then it makes your homepage even more important because that's basically the main page that people come on. You know, if you're doing blog posts and stuff like that, there's a good chance they might find you in a search engine result, or you might share it and they might go to a different page on your website. But probably 90% of your traffic is going to go to your homepage, which means it's obviously really important. And the grunt test, so it's basically placing it, makes it important, or places importance on the top of your homepage. So like I said, like most of your traffic is going to land on your homepage, and obviously more or less all of them are going to see the top of your homepage, which is basically called the header. And you basically only have 5 to 10 seconds to make a good first impression, or people will leave. Now, the way you can make sure you make a good first impression is if you pass the grunt test. Now, the grunt test is basically, if you imagine a caveman who is busy, you know, trying to protect his tribe, he's busy trying to collect food, he's really busy, and somehow manages to see your website. So he's not that smart, he's got a lot going on, but he has access to your website, and he basically has to be able to answer these 3 questions, or there's a good chance that it won't capture his attention and he'll just leave. So question 1 is, what do you offer? So make it really obvious what you do as a business. Don't make people guess for what you do. Just make it really, slap it on there. I do X, I do Y. Number 2 is, you know, how do you make his life better? Because like I said, he's got a lot going on in his life. He's trying to look after his tribe. He's trying to get a mate, all that sort of thing, collect food. Why does he need what you offer? And can what you offer help him with any of those things? And then 3 is, how does he buy from you? And again, that goes back to this call to action. Like, just because you've got the first 2 doesn't mean that he's going to then reach out to you and say, right, this is what I want to do. So for instance, if you sell something, you need to have a call to action that says buy now. And that kind of like, and so, you know, we're not dealing with cavemen these days, but we are dealing with very busy individuals that are bombarded with marketing messages all the time. So if you or I can't answer those questions when we land on a website, there's a good chance we'll leave and never come back. And if that happens, because if they found you through a search engine, then they'll go back and maybe find a competitor, which isn't good. Or worse, and this is what most of the time will happen, is they won't do anything. And actually that's worse, because they've got a problem, you can solve it, but because you can communicate that, they are basically not, you know, progressing their life or sorting that problem out. So actually that's a bigger problem.
Yeah, I know somebody says that if everybody bought what they needed rather than what they want, car parks would be full of basic cars that got you from A to B for the number of people you have to get from A to B. And they are not, because we buy things we need, but we buy things we want. And it's making yourself more, it's a beauty contest. It's making yourself more appealing and attractive to a potential customer.
Yeah, exactly. So like, for instance, just hitting a good point, like, you know, there are so many different car brands out there, but they're all at very varying price points. So at the beginning, obviously, you know, your lesser price cars are obviously there to just to fill that need. But then when you switch into like a Mercedes, BMW, whatever, you're not buying a car, you're buying status.
Mm.
And that's, you know, you know, watches as well is a good example. You know, you could easily buy a watch for, you know, 20 quid, but people will still spend 20 grand on a Rolex.
Yeah.
They both do the same thing,
Yeah. And
but they
it's
get you different things.
absolutely. And it's, you were saying about people are busy. So when you first start a business, it's you're busy and sometimes a busy fool because you've no idea what you're really doing. I mean, for me, I would say, and I know we talked about this, for me, one of the things I get from networking is that I have all that support system around me so I can get on with the job I do. Hence having these business chats so people can benefit from that. So what would you say then, as a small business that's just started, and you've started in the strangest of times, so if you've survived through this, you know, you've done more than some big businesses have done. So what would you say were the 3 learning points that you would say to somebody, do this, don't do that, would you, for starting their own business?
Yeah, perfect. No, really good question. Actually, it's probably more than 3, but I'll try and condense it.
If you could do
So
more, I mean, if you get to 176, I might stop you.
So I would say one of the key things for me is think of your business as a business. So I started, and I guess I fell into the freelancer trap, where and I guess it depends on the industry you're in, but obviously digital marketing, there's quite a lot of freelancers. And I basically started the business knowing that I had some like work already lined up. And for the first few months, I worked basically exclusively on that and didn't promote the business or try and get the next client. So I basically got to the end of my first couple of projects and was like, oh shit, where's like the next paycheck?
Yeah.
So I guess since then, it's, you know, always devote time to promoting your business, working on the business. And actually, I spend more time working on the business now than I did even a couple of weeks ago.
Mm.
I now actually devote about 2 hours a day to on the business, because if you don't do that, you're never going to be making progress.
And you'd never be able to sell it, because even if you've no plans to sell a business, you should have a business which, were you to choose to do so, you could sell, which means you can't be the person in the middle.
Correct.
Doing everything. So working on the business means that you can get to a point where you could sell the business or retire and get other people running the business and putting money in your coffers.
Yeah, correct. So when I say like on the business at the moment, it's more the making sure I market myself. But I've just read a good book that recommends, you know, implementing processes and systems so that you can, like, you know, you can slowly exit, or, you know, like you say, you could get someone else to run it and still own it, or you could like exit and sell it on. So I think over time I will be putting processes in place, which again is something that you should not necessarily concentrate on at the beginning, because you just need to get the sales in and that sort of thing, but do have an exit strategy in place or in mind, because you never know what's going to happen. I'd also, obviously I've then I promote myself more now. The other thing that really helped, especially because I work with a few other people like contractor basis, but I'm essentially a one-man band. And, you know, working from home all the time, even before COVID, and especially during COVID, obviously can get very lonely. So I can't remember how early into COVID that I started doing it, but I started networking. So that has been a massive help to just my mental health and also just confidence. It's been so good, like meeting people like yourself, and there's a whole host of people that I'd now call friends that I've never actually met in person.
No.
Which is mad, isn't it?
Like, I mean, one thing you need to know, I am obviously fabulous, but I'm very short. So people go, gosh, you are short, aren't you? Yes, I am very short. So
I can't wait for that. I can't wait to meet you in person, because you owe me so many sticky bumps.
Absolutely. Well, you know, I'm making a list, and the least you are as well.
But yeah, so that's just like, honestly, I think that's been a game changer for me. And you know, I go to a couple of groups now. So Glennis, your EBN is one of them. I go to FSB Essex. There's a few groups, and I think, you know, I have got the odd bit of work out of them, but it's more, I find it more from a support perspective.
Yes.
And like, even like further down the line, I think, it may lead to more, but right now it's just, I just needed to talk to people. And it's also just good talking to people that are also in the same position. They're like business owners. Like, talking to your friends and family is great, but they don't normally get it.
No, and also people around you who are your personal life, they worry for you, whereas a business contact may worry for you, but they will provide practical ways that are tried and tested by them, even if it's that they say, well, I tried this, I was in a similar situation, I tried this, it didn't work for me. If I was going to do it again, I'd do it this way. And it's actually learning not to keep reinventing the wheel. Other people have been there. I used to have a boss who used to say, no mistake is original. Somebody's done it before you. So you just have to make sure that you know somebody who knows what other mistakes can be made. I think also that one of the things, and just to, as a networker, I believe that we should give credit where credit is due. So what's the book that you're reading at the moment?
Perfect. So just happen to have it always on my desk. This book is The One-Page Marketing Plan by Alan Dibb. And if you are stuck on your marketing, regardless of whether you're a new business or an established business, this is a really good book.
Yeah, I would recommend the E-Myth. And the E-Myth, not the E-Myth Revisited, that's just the same but slightly different. But the E-Myth, one of the things that he says is that you should, and of course I should know the name, but I don't, but everybody can Google it. One of the things he said is that you should set out your structure, your business structure, as if you are a corporate entity. So as a you sat there at your desk, it's only you, and you're doing your finances in its various ways. You make a list of what you're doing for each thing. And then when you get an admin person who is going to do the finance, you have that ready to give them. And you can therefore develop very, very perhaps slower than you would, but you will actually be all in place. So, your hierarchy chart or whatever, organizational chart is all in place. You just slowly fill those places with names.
Yes, yeah, I think that's actually, I think that similar process is named there. It's like, think about where you want to be, and think about all the roles that are required in that business. And then a role might be performed by initially by the obviously all the roles might be performed by one person, or one role might be performed by several, sort of thing. But like you said, just think with like down the line. Don't just think about it as like in the moment. Think like a bit long term.
It's difficult because as a small business, I can remember sitting at my desk. And I'd been used to having all this support because I came from the corporate world. And I kept moving my coffee and my phone round, thinking that if I did that, everything would come to me. But it didn't. And so I started to network. And that's what I've provided. That's what I do. For 25 years, that's been a massive part. Yes, we do social media. Yes, websites. Yes, all of that. But for me, it's that getting to know somebody because you don't know who people know.
Yes.
The 6 degrees of separation is valid, whatever you're trying to achieve. Somebody, and I think also I would say, you were saying earlier that you've got bits of work from networking, but not a lot. That's because people don't yet know you enough to trust you. Once they do, they will be happy to put you in front of not only their best mates who, if you got it wrong, they might forgive you, or me, but I want to trust you enough that I can put you in front of my best customer. Because with the two of us here, for me, the most important reputation is mine. And the same is true for you. So you need to, I'm very careful about how I get people to potentially undermine my reputation.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, I can think of lots of ways of doing it myself without help from other people.
But I think that's a great point. Like, you know, it does take time, isn't it? And I know some people say networking doesn't work, but it's typically because they've only been to like one-off events, and you can't form relationships by doing that. You have to go to the weekly or fortnightly events.
Yeah.
And do that over a series of months or even years, maybe.
Yeah.
And
And
the
it
other thing
depends
is,
what you're doing. It
yeah, it does
depends
depend
what
what
you're doing, because, you know, if with yours, you know, if I get you doing my website and all my stuff and SEO, you know, I understand what that means, and PPC, I understand that what that means now. But if I get you doing that and it's not perfect, although it would be, if it's not, it doesn't matter so much. If you're, say, a will writer and you get that wrong, I could be dead before we find out you're not very good at what you do. So I think there is a lead in that depends on your industry, you know, and partly as well, it's, for me, I call it the hierarchy of trust. If you and I do business, you need to know about my business and I need to pay your invoice. That's it. You don't need to know anything else. If you're my financial advisor, you would know everything about my life, about my income, about my business, about anything else. And I have to trust you more for that as well. I think that's, people forget that. They think, and you were saying that people walk in and do one meeting and then not do it again. You've therefore underlined the fact that you can't be trusted. You're not reliable. You only turn up once.
Yeah,
And
or they just go to like these one-off events, and like that's never gonna, like, you never see them again. You're never gonna see any of them again, and there's a really low chance that you're gonna probably go for a one-to-one, because you need, you know, just sometimes it will happen. But talking about I guess on the other side of the trust thing is just making it obvious what you do and how you can help people, isn't it? So just conveying what you offer.
Yeah.
If you can't understand what you do, then there's very little chance, even if they trusted you, that they'd come to you, because they don't know why they'd come to you.
Yeah. And I think also that it's about, if you can't explain what you do in 2 sentences, then don't bother, because I've not got time. I've got things to do. There's handbags that need buying, and, you know, and films that need watching. So I think it's that being, because we're all passionate about what we do. If you're not passionate about your business, you don't survive, because you need that passion to take you through on the worst times. And there will be bad times, unless you're absolutely, you know, the fairy dust is everywhere on you. But it's that thing about making sure that you don't undermine your own business. So you were saying earlier about the website, you've got to have something that people can see as a test of what you do. And if you talk in jargon, I don't understand it. If I could talk jargon, I wouldn't need you.
Yep.
I don't want you to tell me how it does it, because I'm not interested. If I was, I'd be doing it myself. I want you to just do it and then say, that's done. That's done. And then this is how you will test that it's been efficiently done. So, yeah. So let me just ask you, you mentioned about, you know, we're in the midst of second lockdown, not quite a lockdown, nearly coming out of the lockdown. I'm not sure where we're up to, but it's the endish of 2020. And I saw a t-shirt the other day that said the rule of 2021 is we never mention 2020. Okay, that's what so we're all going to get those t-shirts. So, and I know somebody who does t-shirts, so that's useful. So you survived through all this malarkey. What would you say has been the positive, perhaps, of coming in brand new to this?
Yeah. Well, for me, like, being in the industry I haven't been as impacted as other industries. So, you know, all my stuff is online. I'm working with a dentist that is based up in Wakefield. Like, I probably wouldn't have met him I wouldn't have met him anyway. Like, there's a fat off chance I would have gone up to meet him to get the business in the first place. So I'm really fortunate that my business is, you know, kind of not as affected as, say, hospitality and stuff. Obviously, your business was immediately quite affected, but obviously you could pivot and go online and stuff. So actually, you're now thriving, aren't you?
Yes.
So I guess I'm kind of lucky that wasn't. I'm not worried about the pandemic, basically, or I don't think it's affected me as much as it could do.
And also, I guess you've nothing to compare it with.
Yeah, I have nothing to compare it. So I think my biggest problem is just being a new business.
Yes.
Okay, the pandemic doesn't help, I guess, but it's just more the fact that I'm so new. I was actually saying, I had a conversation with someone yesterday, and actually it's probably been a bit of a help, really, because it's taken some financial pressure off. So you're able to let it steadily build the business without the pressure of having to fund holidays and like always going out and stuff, which could put pressure on partners and stuff.
Yeah.
My partner's got a full paying job. Like, he might get annoyed with me if I don't go on holiday as much and stuff.
Yeah.
But actually, because no one can go on holiday, I can just focus on the business.
Yeah.
And so I think that's been quite useful. I know that's a bit of a weird benefit, but I think it's been quite good. But I'd say the biggest thing that I've done is the networking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, just getting the networking, especially if you're a small team, or even if you've got a team, it's just good to talk to other business owners. So that was
So I'm aware that Tempest is Fusion. For those who didn't do Latin, time's getting on and we've all got things to do. So tell me, is there something, I've asked you various questions, is there something that you won't sleep tonight if you don't share with us? And this is your opportunity to take this any way you want.
So my mind's just gone there, so I'm gonna say it, but I have done like so many bungee jumps, I can't remember how many.
Wow.
You're looking at between 20.
Can you still see? Because I was told that your retina gets disconnected, and I mean, it's a hell of a way to have a facelift, isn't it?
Well, yeah. So I did a bungee. I think the first bungee was about 10 years ago, and I've just there was one day I did 5 in one day.
No.
So not only am I stupid, but I blow money ridiculously sometimes.
Yeah, welcome to my world.
I've done plenty of bungee jumps. Have you done a bungee, Glynis?
No, it's not. When I was 50, I know I look fabulous, but when I was 50, for each of the months of my 50th year, I did something that either I didn't see myself as doing, and that was partly because I was 10 stone heavier, but the other was something that frightened me. And everybody that I talked to about it said, oh, do a bungee jump. They've never interested me. So I did various things, and that's a whole different conversation. But the one that I could not do again because I was so frightened was wing walking.
Oh yes, I think you mentioned that.
Oh, I spent the whole 20 horrendous minutes pretty much screaming, I'm gonna die for charity. And the woman who was on the ground said, when you come past us, give us a wave. Well, I did one quick one like that, but other than that, I was gripping hold of this little pole thing they gave me.
Oh my
and
word.
I kept thinking to myself, if you fall, your arm's not going to be able to support you. So you might as well just not, but I couldn't not. So yeah, bungee jumping's never interested me. And I just think that, well, when I came off the plane, I couldn't speak. I was like this. And I said to the woman, I can't speak. And, my face is frozen. And she said, that's the best. Every muscle in your face has clenched. And that's the best facelift you're ever going to get. And I said, yeah, but I can't speak. And she said, what you need to do is have a drink.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't swallow either. It was horrendous. So I've met people who like to do wing walking. They're nuts as far as I'm concerned, and that may be very un-PC, but they're nuts. They need help. And bungee jumping, hats off to you. Good luck. I will come and I'll bring the sticky buns next time you're doing one.
And just to finish that off, I've actually done the world's highest bungee in Macau, in China.
Oh, wow. So you're not just a bit nuts, you're completely nuts.
Completely nuts. Yeah, completely lost it. Lost it years ago.
Are you frightened of heights generally?
Not anymore, but I used to be terrified of roller coasters.
Oh, okay.
Now I jump off buildings,
Yeah.
and I've done a couple of solo skydivers and stuff like that.
You're a thrill seeker, aren't you?
Do love it, yeah. But
Yeah.
I haven't done anything thrilling for a while, so I need to get back on that.
We'll do something in 2021, although it's going to be so exciting just meeting people again. You know, that's going to
be
take
really
months.
weird.
Yeah, it's going to be weird.
For me, obviously, you networked in person and you had to switch to virtual. For my business, I've only ever done virtually, so actually it's going to be really weird meeting people in person.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's pretty much the same. Some people you like, some people not so much.
Yeah.
That's the same.
You can't get away from them. You can't get away from them in person.
Oh yeah, you can. When next we speak or the next conversation, I'll talk about how you exit groups and people. That's for next time. So I think for now, I'm going to say thank you very much.
No problem.
And woohoo! First one
perfect.
under the
First
belt.
episode in the bag. Well
Yay!
done, brilliant host.
Yeah.